This is the sweetest Victory Tuesday that we have ever had. Maybe not overall as a program, because maybe you'd have to go back to 1969 probably to have that feeling. I know he's still feeling it. You can see him right over here. Wait, nope. How does this work? I don't know. I'm trying to point one way. There we go. Nope.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
It's backwards. My guy over there. I wish I could, if I could have coordinated this a little bit better, we could have done the Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt fist bump. That's clearly not happening. Anyhow, Jake Butt, Mackey Award-winning tight end, who basically called this game exactly what everything he wanted to see, exactly as he wanted to see it. Wasn't living in fantasy land like a lot of those Buckeyes writers that we saw out there. So, Jake, we're going to break down this game, and we're really going to break down this game. We're really getting into the actual X's and O's this time for the first time. That's right. We were bringing in some game film, really, truly showing you why things worked. But first, Jake, general reactions, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw everything you wanted to see. Did you really expect it to look this good?
Let me start by saying this, Isaiah, is to just give credit to Coach Harbaugh and give credit to Ward Manuel. And in today's world, everything is so emotionally driven. When something goes wrong, people want change right now. The hardest thing you can do in today is to just say, no, actually, we trust our process. We're not always going to be perfect in our result, but we trust our process. We trust the guys we have. Let's let them, let's give them the opportunity to go do something special. And you look back preseason, no one gave us a chance. People didn't want Coach Harbaugh to be here going back to January. They didn't want Cade, they didn't want Cade McNamara to be our quarterback. No one gave us a chance. We were unranked. Over/under win total was set at 7. And look what happens, man. Look what we did. Not only did we're playing for the Big Ten championship, it was an absolute beatdown of what we did to Ohio State. And our offensive line, if you watch the film, we'll see it later, essentially took the will away from the Buckeye front seven. It looked like they did not want any parts of us, and that is a beautiful feeling. But credit to Coach Harbaugh, man, is, and something came out last night, Isaiah, where he's getting all these bonuses for going and playing in the Big Ten championship. And he's giving them all back to university employees whose salary was affected by COVID. You see how Brian Kelly handled his situation, sent a message over Teamworks. Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma, what he didn't meet with his guys for more than 5 minutes. That's not leadership. That's just the world we live in today. So the way Coach Harbaugh has handled himself, the changes he made personally and amongst the staff this offseason, and the way he's led and represented this Block M is absolutely remarkable. Michigan fans, I really want you to think about this. We are lucky to have Coach Harbaugh, okay? When you're calling for someone to be replaced, you better be damn sure you're going to have a clear, better replacement than what you have. And there's very few, if any, that would be a better replacement than Coach Harbaugh. So that's my 2 cents. I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for the seniors. In terms of expectation, Isaiah, I don't know that I expected it to look this good. I mean, Ohio State is a very good football team. They always are. And they always they just find ways to win, And we said this pregame this is our opportunity to flip that narrative. Can we flip that narrative? And we did. We found a way to win. We found a way to put our foot on the gas. And when we had an opportunity to throw a haymaker late in the fourth quarter, we get the ball back with about 5 minutes left. Can we get a first down and run out the clock? And we did exactly that. It's the first time I've seen it in a very long time, especially in a big game. So super proud of these guys, man. And just another note, I rushed the field with some of the guys after the game. Coaches are crying. Players are crying. It meant so much to every single person that was wearing the wing helmet on that sideline. It meant so damn much. So you guys, man, reach out to this team, reach out to Coach Harbaugh. We are a community. There is power in this Block M. Let's connect with one another and support one another. This is when Michigan's at its best. Let's enjoy this and continue to build each other up, man. It all matters. There was 5-star recruits in the stands. I'm sure they want to be a part of this after last weekend.
So jealous. I got to rush the field or even be on the field. I was up in the press box, Jake. I wanted
A
out of
little
all
warmer
the
up there
games,
at least.
I was warm. I was still wearing my jacket, but and I had all this nervous energy. Like as many times as I've sat there and told everyone who will listen, and it's honestly true. Like I am generally unaffected. I used to be a hardcore fan. I mean, I went to Michigan. I the reason why I cover Michigan is because of the deep love that I have for the university. That's never going to go away, but I learned to be unaffected, right? I had turned off my fandom to do my job. I'm sitting up in the press box shaking the entire game. I couldn't write because what how I've approached college football once I learned to turn off my Michigan fandom. It's that I root against Ohio State. So that's my game every week is whoever's playing against Ohio State. So when I see Michigan, the school I went to, that in the city that I was born in, I was born at University of Michigan Hospital, the place I have a degree from, the place where my love for college football was born, and I'm watching them play Ohio State. I'm sitting up there in the box shaking, and I'm like, at some point, I'm like, I gotta write something, right? I gotta figure this out. I can't do it because I'm just
A-H-H-H-H-H exclamation point in all caps. Like that's all you do to write.
I pretty much. I mean, when Michigan scored its first touchdown, I have not had an impulse, even when I was, because I would say that my first year covering the team, when I first met you, I was still 100% a fan, right? Because I was an intern. I was trying to get a job working in the industry, covering Michigan football. I was still a fan, but I was still professional enough to know, all right, you don't cheer, you don't clap or whatever. The next year, I was in my first year covering the team for 24/7 Sports. I had learned to turn my fandom off. Never had an impulse to cheer or anything. Since then, I've had less than zero impulse to cheer. Touchdown, cool. No touchdown, okay. After Michigan's first touchdown, that wonderful little they call it the Husker play because it was installed for the Nebraska game, wasn't used, that little misdirection end around from AJ Henning. I started putting my hands up to clap. I'm like, where's this been? I haven't clapped for a Michigan touchdown since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much it meant. So it's incredible. I've been loving reading everything that I can read from my colleagues from the rival side. I loved hearing Josh Gaddis going on Inside Michigan Football and saying that essentially that Ohio State is soft, says that they are a finesse team. They are not a tough team. I mean, but we saw that in action, right? We saw the fact that this was a finesse team. And when they got punched in the mouth, really punched in the mouth for the first time, they folded, and they did it on both sides of the ball. And that's, I think, what's beautiful to see. This was a no doubt, right? There's no part of Ohio State that can sit there and say, well, if we would have just executed one or two more plays, it's, you could even look back at like 62-39 a couple of years ago and say, well, if you would have executed 3-4 more plays, that game is a game, right?
Yeah.
This one's one where Michigan left no doubt going into the game. I thought if Michigan won, chances are it would be not a fluke, but kind of like, okay, that was just a perfect game plan. If these two teams played 10 times, Ohio State would win 7 or 8 of them. I think this year, if Michigan played them 10 times, Michigan would probably win 8, 9, or 10 of them, given the just physicality. So how impressed were you with that aspect? The fact that Michigan just out-toughed them, out-physicaled them, bullied them, battered them.
I mean, very impressed. I mean, but you go back to my score prediction was also pretty spot on. I called for a 42-31 Michigan victory. So a lot of people thought I was crazy for that. But I knew in my heart, I thought Michigan was uniquely equipped to play this Ohio State team. The things that Ohio State would struggle with were some of our strength, which is getting after the passer, making CJ Stroud uncomfortable, forcing him to get to a second and third read, running the ball on offense. They struggled, especially early in the season, stopping the run. Can we run the ball on the offense and extend drives? And again, that takes the will of a team out. That really buries you. It's it's pretty tough to, continue getting up drive and drive after drive when the offensive line is bullying you up front, like the way our Michigan offensive line and tight ends did. So, but you still never expected that to happen because Ohio State, they do take such pride in this rivalry and they have had such success, of course, the past decade. But is this the turning of the page to new ages? So I think about this is, again, there's 5-star recruits all in in the stands past weekend. Ohio State's big recruiting pitch is we're trying to get those 5-star recruits, and so is Ohio State. And their recruiting pitch to those guys is, why would you go to Michigan? We beat them every year. We're the ones that go to the Big Ten championship. We're the ones that go to the college football playoff. Why would you go to Michigan? Well, now Coach Harbaugh has just a little bit more ammunition to talk to those recruits, say, hey, I know you saw how special that environment was. Of course, Michigan already has the power of the largest alumni base in the world, an unbelievable academic institution, and you're playing on a national stage. But the last hump you had to get over was beating Ohio State. And we did that this weekend. So the recruiting pitch is literally laid out there for us. Hopefully now we can start getting some of those 5-star athletes. Ohio State historically, the past couple of years, has historically some of the best ever recruiting classes since it's been tracked in college football history. For us, maybe we can steal some of these guys away. And if you can combine, the coaching we've been putting out, Gaddis called a flawless game, unbelievable, his best game of the year, which we needed to have happen. Coach Moore should be up for, assistant coach of the year. Jay Harbaugh as well. What he's done with these tight ends and special teams. Arguably, he could be up there for the coach of the year too. Now you bring these 5-stars in. Now you bring in the level of talent that Ohio State's been getting. It just, a rising tide raises all ships, and we got talent right now. We got heart, which is what matters. But recruiting is a lifeblood of your organization. Can you start bringing some of these 5-stars in and continuing to even build a stronger foundation and base for success going down on the road?
See, this is where some people are saying that anything you get now is gravy. I disagree for that reason, actually, because you need to finish, at least win the Big Ten. You win the Big Ten, you've got that in your pocket. You already have the over Ohio State. You've got the Big Ten thing in your pocket. Then that is a little bit of a bargaining chip, essentially, with recruits. But beyond that, college football playoff, especially considering the people that the teams that Michigan is potentially slated to play against, if it does win the Big Ten, whether it be Cincinnati or Oklahoma State, I mean, maybe even Notre Dame, which right now Notre Dame is completely in flux because Brian Kelly just bolted. Right. You find yourself in a situation where you should be favored to probably win that first round game and go and face what most would expect to be Georgia. You get to be against Georgia. I'm not saying you have to win that game if that's the case, but I'm saying you have to show up. I know that's easier said than done based off of what people's opinion of Georgia is. But here's the thing, and the reason why I say this, Ohio State often gets to the playoff. It doesn't often necessarily get to that semifinal or get past that semifinal. It did last year and then got the doors blown off of it by Alabama. If you can do better than Ohio State tends to do in the college football playoff, that is like Ohio. And if you can win it all, you could sit there and point and say, like, why would you go to Ohio State? We are the ones. And Ohio State could sit there and say, well, you look at all the things that we've done, and you can just be like, you know what? Who cares? College football is about what have you done for me lately? You haven't done anything for me lately. That gives you an insane amount of bargaining power, insane amount of recruiting prowess. And suddenly, you've busted your foot into the door in a way that hasn't existed since when Jim first arrived and there was all the hype. That could play just a huge difference. So Michigan really needs to take advantage of its opportunity. I think it will do the best it can on that front. So we'll see. All right, let's start getting into the nitty gritty of it, Jake. So
can I interrupt you real quick, Isaiah, just to say one thing? Because you said something at the beginning that I want to touch on. One of the hardest things to do in sports, and especially football, which is such an emotionally driven sport, is you've set your goal out the entire season, beat Ohio State. It's talked about every single day. It's emphasized every single day. That is a massive goal. And you go in there and do it in such a big fashion. It is an emotional game. Can you flip the script now to refocus and reset? Okay, this is the new standard. The way you prepared for Ohio State is exactly how you have to prepare for Iowa. This is the new standard, but it is a great challenge to win or even be a part of an emotional game. There's a massive come down on Sunday, Monday after that. Can you refocus and get your juices back flowing? Because like you said, this game matters. It would really suck to have done all this and then, lose to Iowa. Now, as we touch on the offense, Isaiah, Cade McNamara's comments, okay? Quarterback position is so much more than putting up 600 yards every single week. It's managing the team. It's getting guys lined up. It's taking command in the huddle. And it's ensuring that the players around you understand the goal ahead. And you have to walk the walk first. Cade's comments, he emphasized that this was the biggest win he's ever been a part of in his career. It was the best feeling he'd ever been a part of. They're going to watch the film on Monday, and then they're flipping the script. Come Tuesday, it's Iowa week. It's buried. It's done. That's what a leader does. Again, that's why I love Cade under center. That's why I've loved him all season. I think people need to understand that. That is what you get with Cade, is clear leadership and focus. And if you don't have that, I don't know that we've had the result we've had all season. So we'll get into the offense, but I want to say that as well.
Yeah, and I think the coup de grace of this all is how much people were saying there's no way you can beat Ohio State with Cade McNamara as your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, Joel Klatt on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he said probably not going to beat Ohio State with Cade McNamara as your quarterback. But obviously that was before Michigan State, before he put up 400 yards in that game. All of those things that you wanted to see. So nonetheless, offense. So we're going to get into some of these clips, these things that happened in the game, why things were working. You're masterful at breaking down things. So let's take a look and see why Michigan was able to have the type of success it was able to have, delving a little bit further into the tape.
Yeah. Before we do that, I mean, we're going to dive into the run game was the key. And you talk about Joel Klatt saying you're not going to win with Cade McNamara. I think that's a general comment, and I hate generalities because it just says that this is the only thing that matters. It was not one person this past weekend. And we said in our pregame show, Isaiah, is everyone needs to step up. Everyone needs to play their best game. Cade, did he win the Heisman last weekend? Hell no. Did he manage the game? There's a critical 3rd and 1. He gets the defense to jump off sides. He's very aware of that. He snaps the ball and he takes a shot downfield. That's something that really good quarterbacks do. That's a general understanding of the offense. The receivers, did they have a massive game catching and running after catching the ball? Not really. Very imperative what they did in the run game. And you're going to see that on the film. So it was a group effort. It wasn't about one guy. Of course, Hassan Haskins probably cemented himself as a Michigan legend this past weekend. Dude's earned it. Blake Corum stepped up, clearly wasn't healthy. It was a group effort. But as we dive into this, the run game tells the whole story. Is we took Ohio State's will, and it's hard to continue to get up and continue to fight when you don't see any progress. And you're going to watch our O-line and tight ends absolutely dominate and move guys off the ball. The line of scrimmage just kept moving. Hassan Haskins, average yards downfield before contact was 4.6 yards. 4.6 yards before he was even touched, not 4.6 yards per carry. And we know with Hassan that he's going to break that first tackle. At least he's falling forward. So, let's dive into the tape. It's awesome.
So this is a critical first play. All right, it's 3rd and 2, your first third down of the game. You're playing an explosive Ohio State team. You really need to get a first down here. You do not want to go 3 and out to start the game. Give them momentum, give them belief. Michigan's bread and butter. All right, we're gonna run the ball. So this is one of Michigan's bread and butter run plays. It's a gap scheme, which means you're gonna have 2 polars, which are on this play, the center and the right tackle. They're going to be pulling. Everyone else is blocking down. They're blocking gaps. So your right guard is going to be blocking that 3 tech to his side. He's blocking his right gap. The left guard is blocking the A gap. He's blocking that nose tackle, the gap to his right. The left tackle, he has no down lineman in his gap, so he's going to flow up and block the middle linebacker. You're going to have Vastardis pull around. Since you have 2 pullers, you're going to leave 2 Ohio State defenders. You're going to leave that lefty end for Vastardis. You're going to leave that weak side linebacker for Stuber as he pulls around. And you'll see how this plays out. It's one of Michigan's bread and butter plays. Watch it. Watch the front side down blocks by the left guard and the left tackle.
Healthy they can stay during the course of the game.
Bam, stones him. Left guard absolutely stones him, stands him up. Look at his shoulder pads get raised. Left tackle comes flowing down. Bang, right there. Gets him again.
How healthy they can stay during the course of the game.
Look at Vistardis here. Okay? Look at Vistardis come around. Bam. Hat for a hat. Great hat placement. You're going to see your right tackle come pull around. Bam. Hat for a hat. Look at that hole. Look at that hole. Hassan will not get touched. I don't know when he's going to get touched. 6, 7, 8, 9 yards down the field. That is just excellent blocking on a critical play, 3rd and 2. This is what Michigan was doing all day. Look at him. He's not touched till 15 yards down the field. It's unreal. Now watch it from the top. Watch it. Remember, you got a front side gap scheme. Left guard, left tackle blocking down. Vistardis is pulling for the D end. Right guard is blocking the 3 tech above him. The right tackle is pulling around for the will linebacker. Just watch it live here.
See how healthy they can stay during the course of the game. 3rd down and 2 at the 33, and a first down for the Wolverines.
Hassan does the rest. All right, so if you're a fan of football, you're a fan of this play. You've seen Michigan mix it up. You've seen the gap scheme. You've seen inside zone. This is outside zone, right through the heart of the Buckeye defense. Everyone stepped up on this play. You could start with the receivers. Our slot receiver up top has to fill in that nickel that's splitting the difference. Lifts him up off his feet. Roman Wilson pancakes the guy straight ahead of him. Just a body on the ground. Really unbelievable. Then you get to the O-line. All 5 dudes did their job to perfection here. Again, this is outside zone. So everybody's stepping to their left. It's a bucket step, meaning you're losing ground so you can turn and run and try to reach your defender. The key blocks here are the interior of the offensive line, the right guard, the center, and the left guard. Vistardis has an especially tough block trying to reach that nose who already has him out leverage in his gap. His snapping the ball and getting his first step and hat place in the right place are absolutely critical. He does it to perfection. Then you're going to watch the right guard give hand presence on the down lineman. He's going to climb to 22. Left guard's going to step in his gap, protect it, make sure no one's spiking, and then he's going to go up and throw and try to cut on that weak side linebacker. Everybody is perfect, a hat for a hat. Watch this play out. It's truly, truly remarkable. Let's start with Vistardis here. Look how this goes. Bang. Dude's reached. He's done. He's done. Blake's target point as he descends, gets the handoff, means this nose guard has absolutely no chance. You cannot backdoor this and run down Blake Corum. He has got no shot. Vistardis perfection. Now you go straight to the interior alignment. Let's start with the left guard up top. Look at their eyes. Look at both of their eyes. Targets are right where they need to be. Watch the left guard come here and tackle. Bang. Cut block, 30. You got no shot, dude. Hard to make a tackle when you got 300 pounds running right through your freaking hip. You can look at the pancake down here, Roman Wilson on 29. Look at our slot receiver on their nickel up top. He's literally lifted right up off his feet. Absolute perfection. You see your right guard here, hat on a hat on 22. That's a last missing piece here. Bang. You could drive a damn bus through that hole. You could drive a bus through that hole. And then Blake, shout out to Blake, clearly wasn't 100%, but just wanted a piece of the Buckeyes. As did everyone in a winged helmet last week. Everyone wanted a piece of this. No one was going to leave an ounce of juice on the field. They had it all, so we'll watch it play out here.
With a huge hole. Corum, watch out. Blake Corum, blazing speed. Can he get down? No.
Love the call. Love the call. The energy was just like that inside the stadium, too.
First down again.
There you go, live. Bang.
Watch out. Blake Corum, blazing speed.
You guys want to watch this all day with me?
So when we were, forgive us here. When we were doing this, we're doing it with like basic technology. Do not look at the lines on this play. Something got messed up. It got flipped twice. So, that was not ideal. So I need you to just maybe listen to me here and forget the lines. Apologize. We'll work on our technology going forward. We're kind of just doing this like in our backyard. But if you follow my voice, I'll take you where you need to go. On this exact play, you're going to have a right guard, right tackle. So look at the right side of the offensive line, 600 on 300, the double team on that down lineman. They're double team and they're taking the down lineman up to that play side backer. Again, forget the lines. Then you're pulling the backside guard and the backside tight end. Okay, so your gap scheme, front side blocks their gaps, pulling the backside guard and tight end around, two pullers. Getting into the lane, forget the lines again, just watch it play out. Thanks.
Another gap scheme here. Story of the day was physicality. I thought Michigan's offensive line absolutely won the physical battle. Consistently throughout the game, you just see the line of scrimmage get moved downfield. And, you know, it's a hell of a lot easier to turn around and hand the ball off to your running back than it is to try to sit back and connect on passes. And we saw what Ohio State was able to do. Some of those receivers made some absolutely unbelievable plays, but they're straining for them to happen. Your chances of hitting on those are so much lower than, as you'll see in this play, is a perfectly blocked play and a running back kind of hitting a seam pretty freely. So the key to this play is the right guard and the right tackle. It's going to be a gap scheme, so you're going to have a double team block with those two guys on the right side of our line versus that down lineman there in between them. They're going to work right up to that first stacked backer. At that point, you're going to have two pullers. We're pulling around the left guard and the tight end. And you'll see here the left guard makes a great decision. If the guy you're pulling for isn't going to make the play, bypass him and look for work. But I want you to watch this double team to start immediately. Look what happens.
Ohio State 13.
Bang, pancake. Been to Cracker Barrel, pancake. They served him up. Look where 71's eyes are, right on his target. Once again, absolute flawless in their technique. Watch 71 climb. Bam, stones him. Here you go, left guard and tight end. That defensive end is not going to make the play on Hassan at all. So why block him? Let's go look for work. So obviously we got Luke down here blocking the defensive back one-on-one. We're going to have two pullers for only one Ohio State defender. Watch it play out.
They hand it off. Haskins.
Bam, there's Eric. All day, Eric was just moving these guys. You know what they say? If you score with your man, you're going to score a touchdown. So watch Eric just walk this guy all the way back into the end zone. Great day for Hassan.
Following his block. Haskins. Touchdown.
See ya, baby. Could watch that all day. I think we're going to get another view here from the back.
Right at Ohio State on the ground.
Here it is. Starts with those big boys right there. Right guard, right tackle. Watch it. You got to win. 600 on 300. We talked about it all day. You have to win.
Only have two guys on this side on the defensive front. And watch as Michigan's going to.
Bam. Look at that movement. Look at that movement. Look at the power. Flawless technique. Bam. There's Stuber stoning him. The linebacker's dead. Doesn't have a chance.
Guys going on that right
Convoy.
side. There's Eric all leaving it. Great block on Hickman. Haskins just took him by the back.
Hassan Haskins.
His jersey and said, "You block that guy." Bam. And then I followed him into the end zone. That's it right there. See this hand on his back? That's what. That's how you.
That's
run the
beautiful.
block.
So once again, Michigan with the ball in their hands, a chance to really put this game out of reach. And in years past, when we've had this opportunity, we've fallen short. You can go back to my senior year against Michigan State. I remember vividly we got the ball back. If we get one first down, the game's over. Going back to 2015, same situation. We have the ball. If we get a first down, it's over. Neither time were we able to get a first down. Ohio State knows what we're going to do. We know what we're going to do. Everyone watches knows what we're going to do. Michigan, back to their bread and butter play. You have the Y off the ball to trips right, and you're going to be running another gap scheme. So those front side linemen, the left tackle, the left guard, the center, they're all blocking the gap to their right, and the pullers are coming around. In this case, it'll be the right guard and the right tight end. Okay, if you have two pullers, that means you leave two defenders for each puller, one for each puller. That's going to be this left defensive end and this left backer. Again, your left guard and your left tight end, they have to get moving on this double team. Watch what happens here. Bam, look at that. Look at the leverage. Look at where the hat placement. Look at our left tackle, already has his eyes in the right position, trying to flow up to this linebacker. You're going to see, okay, we got our pulling guard. What's he going to do? Stones him. Look at that gap. Can't quite drive a bus through it, but you can drive a Hyundai. Here comes Shun. Boom. Boom. Once again, I mean, it's literally a flawlessly blocked play. You got a linebacker in the hole with Hassan Haskins. Good backs. They fall forward here. They'll get you 5-6 yards. Great backs. They're going to break this tackle and gash you for 15, 16 yards. I think Hassan solidified himself as one of the best backs, definitely in the Big Ten, probably in the country. And here you go. And look at that. All day long. Here it is again. Double team front side. Kick out. Bang. Scoom. Luke. Eric all the tight ends. Blocking their asses off. You'd love to see it.
So, I mean, it's just beautiful to watch that. I mean, I literally, I watched it again Sunday morning. I watched it Sunday afternoon. I watched it Monday morning. I might watch it before I go to sleep tonight and dream about it. Behind every great running back is an excellent offensive line. You remember Ezekiel Elliott when he was doing all those, spectacular things for the Cowboys, early in his career. Well, they had historically one of the best offensive lines in NFL history at that point. So, again, behind every great running back is a great offensive line. I'll include the tight ends there, Eric All and Luke Schoon. Their ability to generate movement. And, your mentality when you're running the ball is when you have 2-on-1, when you have 600 on 300, that's where you have to generate movement. And your back should follow your double teams at that point. At least when you have a one-on-one block, you have to stalemate. The expectation isn't just to take a guy and knock him 6 yards down the field every play. You have to at least, not give up any penetration and stalemate in your one-on-ones and depend on your double teams to generate movement. But consistently, you would see even in our one-on-ones, maybe not 6 yards, but the line of scrimmage would move, a yard and a half downfield. And that's where you see the 4.6 yards per carry before contact for Hassan. Just beautifully blocked plays, man. And Ohio State knew what we were going to do. They knew our MO. They'd watched our film. They said they'd prepare for us every single day. So they knew we're a run-first team. We were going to be run committed all game long. So it's not like this came in a mystery for them. They were scheming for this exact thing. And, these big boys up front still found a way to just connect and hit. And Coach Moore, you hear nothing but great things about him, from the building, from former players, from current players, from other coaches. He's got respect, on a national level. He's a hell of a coach. And to get all five guys playing in unison as one unit, their first steps in their mind and their hat placement are all perfectly coordinated. It's really, really hard to do that. Those guys did just that. So a lot of credit to those dudes. Hassan, I mean, dude, you played your ass off. You submitted yourself. They might have your jersey up there in Chet Beckler Hall in that museum someday. So you've damn earned it, man. So congratulations to those guys. Super, super awesome to see. As we transition here, Isaiah, to the defensive side of the ball.
Before you move on to the defense, I do have a thought. I think what strikes me about the offense in this case, the way that Michigan played offense, absent a dual threat quarterback. I know JJ was in on a few plays here and there. Got the big first down on the one, had the big throw out of that diamond formation.
Yeah.
What strikes me about this is that Michigan kind of actually, in a weird way, played the type of game that Urban Meyer used to play 2014, 2015, right? It's the bully them up front, run the ball, pass when you need to, but essentially just run all over them, all about physicality. This is the difference this is why Josh Gaddis says this is not a tough team. This is a finesse team.
Yeah.
It's because they have gotten 100% away from that type of mentality, Ohio State, on both sides of the ball, really. And you look at what Ohio State's defense going up against Michigan's offense, it is not used to being out physical the way that it was.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing that's the reason why Urban Meyer had a lot of success, because as I'm sure you saw back when you played, those years that you played, Urban Meyer's teams were physical.
Yeah.
They had a lot of finesse looking plays, but it started up front. Ohio State clearly does not have that right now. All right, let's move to defense. Sorry, go ahead.
One last thing to touch on that, man. And I guess, we have a long episode here, but I mean, we beat Ohio State. You guys want to watch this every single day this week. Come on, we could talk for 10 hours about this, right? But, when you have Urban Meyer, and the parallels to this is they had multiple ways of running the ball. And I think sometimes Michigan fans, and myself included, their frustration would come is when we just run it right up the middle and it became predictable. You saw in that film, you saw gap schemes, you saw counter gap schemes, you saw inside zone, you saw outside zone, you saw jet sweep reverses, creative ways to run the ball that, yes, you're just running the ball consistently, but it keeps the defense on the toes because you're in a formation, and from that formation, you could run left, you could run right, a receiver could get a jet sweep. No one knows where the ball's going to go. That's how you give yourself the advantage. Again, credit to Josh Gaddis. I thought he called a freaking awesome game. So happy for him.
All right, let's move on to the defense. We all know who the star of the show was. I think it was particularly cathartic in a lot of ways for the sake of, we heard a lot of Ohio State people, particularly in the media. I was looking at a lot of those bold predictions. I'm on Letterman Row and I'm reading that their bold prediction is of Aiden Hutchinson, 0 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson is overrated. David Ajabo is overrated. They're not going to be able to do anything against the best offensive line in the country. These are 2 first-round tackles that we've got in Nicholas Petit-Frere and DeJuan Jones, and Michigan's defensive line hasn't seen anything like this. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that came to fruition. Aiden said he was going to leave it all out there. He did exactly that. Had 15 quarterback pressures on his own, the best that Pro Football Focus says that they have ever seen. And I just, that made it all the sweeter. Not just the fact that Aiden did what he did, the Buckeye arrogance, thinking that, it's all just perfect. And then now you're seeing Buckeye fans calling for Greg Studrawa's, they're calling for him to be gone. Just 3-4 days after they're saying he's the best offensive line coach in the country and they have the best offensive line in the country. It's an amazing reversal. So anyhow,
this is why we don't listen to Buckeye fans when they talk about football. You guys don't know how damn good you've had it the past couple of years with all the damn talent you had. All right. You think it's this, you think it's that. Like, nah, man, you just had literally NFL players all over the field. You don't actually really know what you're talking about. Sorry. But that being said, credit to Ohio State. We're going to flip gears right away and be like, CJ Stroud. I mean, the dude played a hell of a game. All right. We're going to have to face him for, the next couple of years. He just kept coming back and making really remarkable throws. Those receivers, so many times throughout the game, you're sitting there, you're like, did they just catch that? Did that really just happen? And you're like, man, like they're hanging on, but they're straining. It was so difficult. We talked in our pregame show is how do we, beat Ohio State? It's getting CJ uncomfortable. None of those throws really were when he was comfortable. There was a couple from the pocket where he was just in rhythm, 3 steps. There's no way you can make a sack on that. But, for the majority of the game, like you said, 15 QB pressures by Aiden. It's moving him off of his spot. It's forcing him to, make off-balance throws and get to his second and third read. So, exactly what we called for is exactly the recipe for success, and it's exactly what happened. So to highlight it as we move to the defensive side of the ball, I just want you guys to watch Aiden Hutchinson. Clearly the man of the hour, should be in the Heisman candidate. What he was able to do to generate pass rush pressure from multiple different moves and multiple different angles was the key to our defense's success. You're going to see the tackles throughout this. Watch the tackles is they lose technique. And I think at some point there's a mental game to this is they abandon technique because they're not seeing success early on. They're getting in their own head like, man, I can't block this guy. I got to try something else. And as they lose technique, a good and a great pass rusher, which is what Aiden does, is he reads that and does the move to his advantage. It's not premeditated. He's not just going to do one single move. He has a multitude of moves that he can go to in his bag to give himself the advantage. And as you cut to the tape, you're going to see exactly that. So let's do that.
So here you got a 1st and 10. It's not necessarily a passing down, but, Ohio State has a passing tendency. So you can kind of assume each down you can emphasize it could be a pass rush move. You'd probably lean heavily towards that, where the Buckeye defensive linemen, they're probably assuming a run's coming. So it's all about analytics in that sense. Here you go again. So you saw the up and under just a clip ago. Here's Aiden, again, reading the tackle. Watch how quick he gets underneath him. This one, the tackle's oversetting once again. He's setting wide. Look at the space inside. Aiden wastes no time. He reads that. Bang. Pump. Rips the elbow. Rips right through. Gets in the backfield. Affects him. And frankly, there was CJ Stroud making another hell of a throw. Thankfully, they did not. All right, so Aiden, obviously, career day, 3 sacks, Michigan's all-time leader for sacks in a season. I think he had something like 15 pressures in a game, absolutely unheard of. We talked about it pregame in the show with Isaiah is, how you beat Ohio State is you make C.J. Stroud uncomfortable. And how do you make him uncomfortable? Well, you got a pass rusher that is in his grill every time he's sitting in there in the pocket, forces him to get off the spot and have to make, some really tough throws, which he did. credit to him, credit to these Buckeye receivers. They played a hell of a game, but it starts with Aiden up front. Now, a good pass rusher is going to have one move. A great pass rusher is going to have a move and a counter. An elite pass rusher and a potential number 1 overall pick is going to have a number of moves, and they're going to be able to read how the tackle is playing them and make a move off that. Nothing's premeditated. So what you're going to see here is when Aiden comes out of his stance, bang. Do you see how this tackle is starting to turn his shoulders? He's starting to face the sideline. That means the up and under. Look at that gap on the inside. Aiden knows this. There's a lot of space to the inside. If he can hit him with the up and under, it should be clean to the quarterback. And you're going to watch Aiden here with a quick jab step to the outside and beats him underneath. Watch it play out. Bang, rip, right in CJ's face. There you go. Physical, critical, holds him to 3. Big play by Aiden. The up and under seemed to be there all day. The Buckeyes did not adjust. At some point, you're going to get in your own head as a tackle as you start to question whether or not you actually can block this guy. There's a mindset where you really need to be egotistical and cocky. You need to get out there and say, I'm going to do my job against all will. It doesn't matter who's in my way. Clearly, Aiden is thinking that right now. Ohio State's tackles are not. Watch this once again. The tackle continues to set. He's too wide. His shoulders are turned. Both his feet are off the ground. Aiden reads that, and the quickest path to the quarterback is going to be with an up and under. Here it is again. Bang. Up and under. Pressure. Watch it. Up and under. Tackle sets too wide. Thank God they had the running back there if you're a Buckeye fan, because this would have been a clean shot before he even reached the top of his drop. Look at it. Up and under. He's working all day. Bang. Sets it up and under. So there's something called a coverage sack. Not always are you going to win quick like Aiden had been doing in these previous clips. At some point, you're going to have to work a second and third move late in the down. And what I want you to see is watch Aiden. He tries to work upfield with an outside rush. Initially doesn't win. CJ Stroud. Here you go. He's not there, but look at these. Look where CJ's looking. From his point of view, you got a receiver up top on the hash. He's covered. The tight end is covered. The wide receiver down in the numbers, completely covered. CJ has nowhere to go with the ball. Okay, now he's moving in the pocket. And this is where Aiden, you read, you react. You're not a robot. You have to change on the fly. That's what the great players do. Comes back upfield, comes back underneath. And there you have it, another sack for Aiden. And the emotion is meant so much to him. So you've seen the up and unders all day. He's faking outside. The gap is open inside. He sees it. He reads it. He reacts. Right here, you're going to see a fake inside and beat him around the edge to the outside. So, again, like I said, good pass rushers have 1. Great pass rushers have 2. Elite have multiple, and they react on the tackle. You see how the tackle is sitting a little bit further inside than we saw earlier in the clips. He's not setting out too wide. He's really trying to protect that inside gap because Aiden had beaten him so much. Look at Aiden. He gives him a quick little head fake inside, swipes the elbow, grabs the arm, catapults around the edge. Another sack for Aiden. And again, the emotion, that matters in a game like this. So again, what do you have? You have the game within the game. At some point, with the way Aiden had been destroying these tackles, they lose confidence. They start guessing. They abandon technique. They, look at the pad level immediately right here by the left tackle. He's standing straight up, minimal knee bend, and he's guessing. Is Aiden going to beat me outside? Is he going to go inside? That's going to force you to get off balance. It's going to be on your heels. What's a good pass rusher do? He reads that and he attacks. So you've seen the up and under. You've seen the outside rush. How about a bull rush? Look at this one.
Here's Stroud.
Look at that.
Here's Stroud.
Look at that.
Looks the other way.
That dude's probably 320, 330. Absolute beast of a play, Aiden Hutchinson. There's a reason he's one of the all-time greats here at Michigan.
That's dominance right there. And there's a reason, and now I don't know that this will necessarily still be the case because they've got a lot more games under their belt, but there's a reason why you had like Anthony Treesh from Pro Football Focus told me on the Locked On Wolverines podcast back after week 2 that Aiden Hutchinson single-handedly had tanked Jackson Kirkland's draft stock he certainly did a number on both Nicholas Petit-Frere and DeJuan Jones, thought to be the two best tackles in the conference. And all of this talk of NFL tackles that Ohio State has, well, Michigan has an NFL defensive end. So it's beautiful to see, even though sometimes the plays still were connections for CJ Stroud. I mean, clearly that was the game plan. That was what we talked about all in the week leading up to the game. That's what needed to happen. It's precisely what happened. It happened, I think, beyond our wildest dreams in this game. So yeah, Jake, that, I mean, I'm still in disbelief that particularly that side of the ball went as well as it did.
It's a physical game, but it's also a mental game. And it was clearly a mental game this past weekend between Aiden and these Ohio State tackles. At some point very early in the game, they lost all hope. And I don't think that they took the field believing that they had a chance to block Aiden. And I don't think Ohio State really did much to help them, frankly. At some point, you have to have your running backs chip. You have to have your tight ends chip. You have to do something to slow down the pass rusher. So you look at Ryan Day, or their offensive coordinator, at some point you have to, forego the routes downfield and help out your tackles that are clearly struggling. And Aiden just frankly got into their head. And to win the mental battle, you have to have full belief that you'll win the physical battle. So Aiden knew that, he's bigger, stronger, faster, that he had better moves. And at some point, Aiden took the field knowing any time he had an opportunity to rush the passer, he was going to win. And the tackles thought the exact opposite. So excellent execution. I think the story of the day was Aiden and Hassan, but really the entire team stepped up. Again, beautiful, beautiful day. Got Iowa this week, man. Got Iowa this week. Let's go get a ring.
There were a couple times when I saw, they were always trying to move the protection. Jeremy Ruckert, who was completely ineffective in the pass game, not even targeted. I believe he was targeted once. They tried to move him over there, but he was losing his blocks to the other guys. So he didn't even have a chance to get to Aiden, because he was trying to, thought the idea was he was going to hit another guy and then get to Aiden. Doesn't work that way. Didn't work that way. But yeah, now Michigan has it all there on the table for them. You got to go take down Iowa. If you play with the same amount of intensity, it's a no-brainer win. Yeah. But it's easier said than done. Iowa certainly wants that Big Ten championship just as much. That they were number 2 in the country at one point. They want to get back to, it's been a long drought for them, obviously, to win the Big Ten. They've been in the championship game back in 2015, didn't win it. That's all the stuff that they want as well. So Michigan's going to have to give Iowa everything it has. They seem focused based off of our conversations on Monday. So it is that much more imperative. And as much as beating Ohio State, you're not going to take that away. It won't feel quite as complete if Michigan does not win the Big Ten. So absolutely must do that.
Yeah, you got to win the Big Ten. That is the icing on the cake. And if you do that, then you're playing for the college football playoff, which is something we haven't done. But it starts with this game this weekend. Iowa is always a tough test for anybody, because what they do on offense is uniquely fit to just keep them in the game. It seems they get into they're almost like a triple option Army Navy type offense. They get into third and short situations and then just barely get the first down running the ball, and they take the whole play clock, and it can lull you to sleep when you're an offense on the sidelines that much. They just tick, 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 tick. They never put up a bunch of points. They rely heavily on the run, and just kind of try to control the clock. So if you can get them in 3-and-out situations, they're screwed. If you can get them in 3rd and long situations and force them to become a passing team, they're not going to be good there. And I think, again, like you said, Isaiah, if we just play our game, if we meet that standard that we prepared, how we prepared against Ohio State and played against Ohio State, the sky is the limit for us. But must win this week. And I'm confident in these guys, as I have been all season, in their ability to do that.
Final thoughts, Jake, when it comes to Ohio State?
Beautiful day for, all former alumni, all Michigan fans, anyone that's been on the wrong side of the rivalry and had to listen to Ohio State, just run their mouths for the past decade. Now it's our opportunity to run our mouths, and it doesn't seem like they like it very much. So that's the beauty of the rivalry. I love to be on the winning side of it. I'm not looking to be friends with Buckeyes, so I'm going to continue to have fun with it on Twitter. And I think we should all do that too, everyone in the maize and blue helmet. But again, what I like about us, what I told some of the guys in the locker room, This is a great win, but understand this. Now this is the standard, okay? It came as no surprise to anyone inside that locker room. The only one that was shocked about that were the people outside the locker room. So we have to understand this is the new standard. Okay, we're not gonna just celebrate like we just won the college football playoff. No. This is just what we expected to do on our way to winning a Big Ten championship and to playing for a college football playoff. All right, flip the gear, flip the switch, go get a ring, go to the college football playoff, and let's finish the season strong.
Now, the other part of it is with the Buckeye fans in particular, trying to say that, it was just a blip. This is just one time. We're going to get him again next year. Wait till they come to the shoe. Hearing a little bit of that from some of the players in the post game. Here's the thing. If they say that to you, say college football is all about what have you done for me lately? Take your loss. They can complain all they want about Jim Harbaugh's pretty accurate comment about standing on third base and thinking you hit a triple. And they can sit there and say, that's classless. But what have we heard? Every time that Ohio State wins, they sit there and they talk all they want. So Michigan, guess what? You're allowed to talk. Whether it's people inside the program, people outside the program, people are complaining about Josh Gaddis and this soft comment. Giving them bulletin board material. Who cares if they need like you said last week, if someone's saying something is what you need in order to get up for this game, then you've already lost. Right. And Michigan plastered the Ryan Day hang 100 comment all over the building. And that certainly was a motivating factor that they didn't want to be on that side of things. So anyway, we will be back next week. We didn't necessarily know for sure that was going to be the case. I certainly didn't predict it, but we'll be back next week to break down Michigan versus Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. So for the Mackey Award-winning tight end, Jake Butt, I am Isaiah Hole. We will see you then.